Good evening, everyone. We can stop the count. Our 145-day run of no permanent signings is over. Kinsella is over the line. It only took, well, he was on trial for about 4 weeks. So, but it's finally happened. We've got a player, as well as others going out the door. I believe we're averaging on a 3-for-1 policy at the moment. But all is good. HMS PTL is back in the dock. And of course, Swindon Town pick a time where I have no other Town fans to discuss the transfer business with, because we have a special episode of FRI tonight, our Friends of Fools season preview episode. We've got 3 opposition fans in the lobby already waiting to have their say on why Swindon are going to win the league and how successful their teams are going to be at chasing us. And we're hopeful 1 or 2 more will be joining. Basically, when the teams they support finish playing their pre-season fixtures and they can find somewhere with suitable internet connection. Before we say hello to tonight's panel and get talking all things League Two, let's roll the titles.
Take my hands, take my whole life too, but I can't fall in love with you.
Swindon Town into the promised land.
Delighted that the first comment in the live chat is from Fools Regular and Wharton Bassett, head coach. Are you head coach or are you manager? I should really ask this in advance. Gave us the evening off, so how have I spent it? Watching bloody FRI. Glad to have you with us, Woody. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say on the discussion tonight. And as always, the live chat is open on Facebook and on YouTube, and our Twitter notifications are also available. And despite none of the regular panelists being on, we will continue with the tradition of a food-based intro question. But I'm going to do a Fyfie service announcement this week as I ask the guys that are on the panel, when this is finished, what shall I order in for dinner tonight? Because I haven't eaten since I finished work. I'm already hungry. And well, looking at the panel, this discussion could go on a while. Let's start by saying hello and good evening to someone I had the pleasure of meeting in person last season, host of Amber and Blue. Evening, Russ. Welcome back to FRI.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure to have you on. So yeah, tradition on FRI, we start with some sort of food-based question. And this week I want to know, whenever we do finish this discussion, what shall I order for dinner? Because I am hungry.
I have ordered a Chinese ready for when this finishes. So
Good lad.
Sweet and sour chicken balls,
yes,
some egg fried rice.
Yes, classic.
So I'm going for the Chinese. I'm all in for the Chinese.
Good lad, that sounds good already. Woody confirming manager. Evening, Rob, who has messaged in as well. Russ, last time we spoke, I believe it was last time we spoke, you were on the bus back after giving us a right good hiding at our place.
Yeah, and doesn't time fly?
It was a while ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I remember that game. It were a good game for us, and I thought, this is it. This is going to be the playoff push. No more League Two. I'm not going to be stuck here for another consecutive season. It's time for me to say goodbye. And another season starts, and I'm still here.
But the league is all the better for having you in it. That's for sure.
That's it, isn't it? We've been here years now, Mansfield. Somebody needs to hold this league together. We are like the glue of League Two. If we go up or go down, I worry for the future of the league, to be fair.
You're already picking up the fans early. As Woody says, what a guy, loves sweet and sour. And good evening, Joe, who says hiya. Of course, we've also got, at some point, we need to plan in my visit to Mansfield again, because after last season's jaunt out for the Rochdale game, we said that we have to do a game and then a night out as well and properly take it in.
Yeah, I think we should, yeah.
All stuff to look forward to. Let's welcome another guest on. We've gone from a fan who just missed out on the playoffs to a fan who missed out on the playoff final by just as small a margin. As we welcome back to FRI, young Jake. How are you, buddy? You okay?
Hello, are you okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. The same intro question for you. What shall I order in for dinner when this is all said and done?
Well, if you need something quick, I'd go for like a Papa John's, because I can get that to my house in about 15 minutes.
Nice. And to be honest, I don't have that many takeaway pizza places nearby. But in the spirit of competition, what's the Papa John's quality like compared to the absolute shambles that is a Domino's?
It's actually good. It's proper it's not a thin-based pizza, so.
There we go. Well, there's a USP to start off with, if nothing else. Obviously, we're going to talk Salford over the course of the episode, but as I said in your intro there, missing out by the tightest of margins on the playoff final and then potential promotion. Are you feeling optimistic and ready to go again for another year in League Two?
I am optimistic, but then Wrexham, Stockport obviously getting Louis Barry today. And then Gillingham.
That's nothing. I'm not a big Louis Barry fan.
Yeah, it'll be much harder than last season, so we need to be better. Just beat the bottom teams and we'll probably be fine.
Joe's getting involved in the intro conversation. Pizza, yuck. Go for something like Thai. Do you know what? I've never had Thai food. Never, ever had Thai food. Maybe I should try it sometime. Someone who I'm sure has tried Thai food in his time is the king of GDKs, everyone's favourite fast food chicken and closet Swindon supporter. Evening, Liam.
I was just about to say Thai food is just Chinese food but cleaner. That's my perception of it. It's the same thing really, but it's just not. Chinese food's quite cooked in a lot of oil and stuff and quite greasy at times. But yeah, I think Thai food's just like a cleaner version. That might be me being quite racist, but that's how I see it.
Nice of you to pick someone else's podcast to go full fucking continental war zone.
Yeah, that's all right. I went after China on ours a week back. It got edited out.
Yeah, I can't edit. This is live stream.
Well, that's your problem.
Welcome back to FRI. Always a pleasure to have you on. And of course, it wasn't that long ago that I appeared on your newest podcast. Tell us all about what's going on with Lower League Look and with the real EFL at the minute.
Yeah, so Lower League Look's kind of moved away from weekly episodes about the league itself, and we kind of stick to just more interview side of things. But we found the second half of the season is really difficult to set up interviews because everyone's so focused on whether they're in a relegation battle, staying up like Swindon, whether they're in a promotion battle like Bradford. That sort of thing. So we found that difficult, but they're starting to pick up, and we've had a few people come forward now, and we're doing the Real EFL podcast, which is going to be the weekly. It was kind of all about the EFL, but myself and Hannah, who hopefully will be joining us at some stage. I think she's in the, I don't know what, she's at Stockport playing Blackburn.
Yeah, Stockport have got a pre-season friendly, which they're currently, well, they'll be in the second half of now. Her plan is to get out quickly, find somewhere that she can sit down with some internet signal and join in.
Yeah, so we've been hosting that, but because we're both League Two, it's hard for us to cover League One, and it's hard for us to cover the Championship, definitely. So that's split down now. So we're just doing League Two. There's a League One podcast, and I think there's going to be a Championship and a National League podcast. So it's kind of growing, and it's fun. Do you know what? I just love doing it. It's great, isn't it?
Does that mean the lower league look spaces won't be a thing this coming season?
Oh no, they're still there. The 606 is back and ready to go as of a week on Sunday. We tested the water two weeks ago, and we actually got our highest ever numbers, which is nice. So I think people have kind of missed it. Ben came on, everyone's favourite argumentative Swindon fan. I will say delusional at times, but he's fine. He loves it. And next week, I get to come down and see you guys, don't I?
You do. You're coming to our live show, which we're very much looking forward to, and hence me saying this is the last Friday episode before the season starts, because there is no episode next Friday because we're in person. And
you should live stream it.
We considered live streaming it. We've spoken to the venue we're holding it in, and although they do have internet, it's maybe not the strongest connection, and we're just worried about how the production value of it. But I'm sure there's enough of us with smartphones that the important bits will get recorded and broadcast out. Plus, if it's not live stream, there may be stuff that even I've said we can't talk about on a live stream that we can talk about at the live show. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Rob has sent a question in nice and early for you, Liam. You're probably the person who gets the most questions when they appear. What fan base does Liam want to target this season? I can't take another season being rattled, then end up agreeing with him. It's too much.
So see, then thank you, Rob. Honestly, Rob all season argued with me, and then at the end of the season or towards the end, he sent me a DM going, all right, fair enough. And so many Swindon fans did that. I'll be honest, weirdly, I think right now Mansfield fans want it to be them because they are trying their hardest to get me to bite. And I spoke to Russ the other week and said, Russ, why are these Mansfield fans in my DM every time they make a signing? Because when the season ended, someone said, predict, who do you think's going up next season? Do you think or I did a guess and I said, I don't think Mansfield will be in it. They went, why? I said, well, I don't think you're there yet. And every time they've made a signing, I've had DMs from them. What do you think now? And I've got all their signings lined up on this to answer that question live.
Look forward to it. Already some reaction to people who might not have realised. Joe saying, well, that's a game changer. Is he coming in his chicken suit? Well, it depends whether he decides to go to Crawley, I suppose, afterwards.
I'm not welcoming Crawley.
Welcoming Crawley.
Their owner, after I made him cry 2 weeks ago, has put something in place to ensure that I won't be there.
And Barry, who has been very generous ahead of the live show, helping me get some auction lots, save a seat in the car park for Liam.
I'll be there.
Barry, again, one of those who has taken up the option to be there live and in person. And if you would like to be there live in person, we do have a few tickets remaining. Just drop me a message and we can sort them out. They are free of charge. All we're asking is up until the night, if you can make any charitable donation to our Just Giving page, and I will email you. But let me know you're interested, and I will email you tickets over. Guys, let's get straight into the chat before anyone else joins the lobby. Liam, me and you have spoke plenty of times, so I'm going to start with the other guys first, if that's okay. Russ, I think it's fair to say, well, you may disagree, but I doubt it. This is going to be the best League Two in terms of tough competitive quality, and it is quite a difficult league to predict because there are quite a few strong-looking sides.
Yeah, I think so. The nice thing for me is people aren't talking about Mansfield. For the past couple of seasons we've had, I expect Mansfield to be up there. I expect them to be top three. I expect them to be playoffs this year. Looking at a lot of people's predictions, we are nowhere near it, and it's actually quite refreshing. There isn't that, well, everyone expects us to be up there. That's quite nice, but like you say, there is so many strong teams that are in this league this year. But I think some of them are going to come a cropper. I genuinely think that there's always a couple of teams, aren't there, that you think are going to do really well and then they struggle. And I do think you'll see quite a few teams in that bottom half of the table after maybe 10, 11 games, and you'll think, I wonder how they got there.
Well, let's start the debate then, Russ, with the sides that came down, because they're normally where people look for bouncing straight back. How many of the relegated teams do you think are realistically in the conversation?
So I hate predictions, and I'm not one for like picking leagues and all that, but I do have a feeling that MK Dons will probably be top 3. I think they're probably the relegated team that I think out of them all will probably be up there and abouts. I think the others will struggle. Forest Green, I think it's more about stroking Vance's ego than it actually being a football club. I think what they did to Hannah was pretty poor, really. Bring her in, make a song and dance, put her in charge for 2 games, and then go, yeah, cheers, we've got unproven Southampton under-23 coach in. We'll have him. Thanks very much. For me, that was just about him, again, getting in the press, stroking his ego. And I think it's going to reflect negatively for Forest Green if it continues down this path.
That's an interesting one, because there was a lot of debate, wasn't there, about whether it was just a publicity stunt or not.
Yeah, and for me, I don't think she did anything wrong. I don't think she was really given an opportunity.
No.
It was just pretty much, if you was going to do it, then do it. Don't have the big press conference. Don't have all the interviews saying, I'm surprised nobody else has done it. I'm the first one to do it. And then a couple of weeks later go, well, actually, I'm not doing that anymore. I think it undermines women's football as well, because it's just like, right, well, we've done this. We can say we've done this, tick it off the list and move on, when we've not given her an opportunity.
Do you feel, looking at the clubs that have been relegated, I know you said MK Dons are the most likely to be in the conversation for promotion. Are you in any way worried, is probably the wrong word, but when you're looking at the teams, do you think there's anyone who may be fearing back-to-back relegations?
Morecambe, maybe. I don't follow Morecambe massively, but from bits reading, they had a bit of financial problems, and I think it's carried on. They've lost some good players. I don't think they've recruited that well. But realistically, I think that's the only one. I think there's poorer teams in League 2 at the minute that will take them bottom 2 slots before Morecambe, unless it goes really wrong at Morecambe.
We'll touch on that and come back on Mansfield specifically shortly. But Jake, let me bring you in next, and let's look at it from the other angle. The promoted sides, is momentum going to carry them through another season, or do you think the introduction to Football League might be a bit more tricky than they're anticipating?
I can see Wrexham struggling at the start, like a bit like Stockport did, and then eventually their quality will just show through and they'll maybe get top 3, maybe playoffs. But Notts County, I think in pre-season defensively they've struggled a bit. I watched one of their games against Notts Forest, and they seemed all right. So if they keep their defence and sort that out, then potentially they can get playoffs or go up.
Ian has joined the chat. I think the 2 teams promoted from the National League will achieve more than the teams relegated from League One. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting debate that's been rolling on all summer as to just how strong those sides are. Again, if we touch on the teams that Russ was talking about, Jake, are you looking at MK Dons as the strongest of the challengers?
They're definitely the strongest of the teams that's come down, because they shouldn't have really come down. It was just change of management and not really finding form, but they should be good because they've still got good quality players that were pushing for the championship 2 seasons ago.
Okay. Liam, the only team not mentioned by either Russell Jake was Accrington. What's your thoughts on them heading into the season? Because we are only a week away.
I think they're here for 2 or 3 years before I don't even think they're going to try and push on. They'll say they're going to, but I don't think they'll take it too serious, as in like a serious push, until probably 2 or 3 years. And I think that any team that has maybe similar to what the National League's going to be like this season, I think that any team that has not the greatest of budgets is best off holding off if you can't compete with those teams that have come up from the National League. And that's why, like, you look at the National League this coming season, you've got teams, Chesterfield have been kind of waiting and knocking on that door. This is their season, because Notts County have gone, Wrexham have gone. Now they're in our league.
No,
but they are. This is their season to try what I mean. I'm not saying they'll come up, but this is where they'll be going, right. That's the chink in the armour of the league. And I think that for us as a league, this is going to be one of the most horrific seasons as a fan to watch, because there's going to be, there's probably 15 teams, fan bases that think that they're going to be in that promotion mix, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of people disappointed at the end. And no one will really, I don't think the teams that are finishing sort of 8th, 10th, 12th, I don't think it'll be because they've not had a good season. It'll just because it's been so hard to do. And I think, yeah, if I'm an Accrington, if I'm I'll be honest, a Walsall, right now, a Swindon, where you've not really done much. I don't know what you're going to do in the next week or coming weeks till the end of August, but
not much. If the rest of the summer's anything to go by,
if it's 3 in and 1 out, you'll have 4 players come the end of January, no, end of August. I think that teams that are kind of maybe not there yet, it'll be a case of maybe just it'd be best to hang off and just wait for that opportunity, which next season hopefully will be a hell of a lot easier. And that's, people won't like that, because no one wants to see their team kind of consolidate and sitting in midfield or letting the league pass them by. But if you can't compete, don't break yourself. I mean, you guys know what it's like to overspend and to be in a position where you just cannot be sustainable. We're getting
to know what it's like to underspend as well.
Yeah, but I mean, that just raises more questions than it does answers, doesn't it? But we're the same. We did it. We overspent to try and stay in the Premier League, and then we overspent to try and stay in the Championship, then League One, and we nearly lost our club twice, and it's not worth doing if you. Yeah, I don't know.
Skipping the first part of this comment from Mike, because that will obviously form a latter part of the conversation, Liam. While I've got you talking, it's only right that we highlight this one to you. So he said, it's the big question, who's going down with Crawley? Even after their exciting signing today, the man that you went on record multiple times and said will be Swindon Town's player of the season, Ronan Darcy, signing for Crawley.
I didn't say what season. It's not my fault you've let him go before. He was going to do it this year, but you've let him go. Right now, and I'm not saying it because it's a Swindon podcast, right now my 2 worst teams in the league are Swindon and Crawley, because I feel like every team has tried to improve. I mean, don't get me wrong, you've signed Kinsella, and we were kind of talking about this before, but I feel like Kemp and Kinsella together equal what you lost in Johnny Williams. So I don't feel like you've improved as a team yet, whereas everyone else kind of has. Newport or another one that will probably get dragged in. Harrogate will be in that conversation. Sutton could, because Sutton are a weird team. But for me, right now, the 2 teams that I would put sort of 23rd, 24th are Crawley bottom, Swindon 23rd. But I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I just think
it's an interesting one on that particular note, because it's like a conversation I've been having with a few people today. I think the caliber of the signings, take the goalkeeper aside because he's an unknown quantity. The 2 players who've actually signed in Kemp and Kinsella, they're of the sort of quality that we need. That they're the sort of quality player. But as you were kind of suggesting there, I think Kemp is kind of been brought in to replace Williams. Is he of the same standard? Kinsella's definitely an improvement on what we had as a holding midfielder. But ultimately, when you consider everything that's gone out of the club so far, I personally feel Swindon as a squad are still in a weaker position than we finished last season, going into what I think will be a tougher campaign. So there's still significant improvement in the squad required if I'm to feel confident. Because listen, I've always said, and knowing you 3 the way I do, we'll probably all sit here and say that regardless of how summers go, regardless of preseason results, regardless if transfer windows go the way we want, come game number 1, we're all on 0 points. We're all going to say this is our year because we're fans and we want to believe. So come Friday's live show, No matter what people have said about me all summer, and thinking that Craig's had access to Twitter and suggesting that Mark's, infected my brain with cynicism and stuff, I will be there next Friday night and I'll be saying, we smash Colchester tomorrow and HMS Pistol League is on, regardless.
Russell still thinks last season's their season. He's still not got over it yet.
Every season's our season. Because, as I said to you, like, we're the glue of League Two. Without us, it all falls apart. When you've been here that long, we need some kind of plaque or something. If we're here next season, we need a plaque.
You're getting a testimonial.
Yeah, we should do. We should pick the best players from League Two over the years, play a Mansfield team, a League Two Select 11 for the amount of time we've been in League Two. There's some decent players in that, to be fair.
It goes to show how I'm not in the majority with a lot of things when you see likes of Nick saying Town have improved by getting rid of players. Just to clarify again, I believe after today's signing, we're now on 18 contracted players for this season, of which I believe 3 are currently injured. We've got Mike saying we've improved. We loaned out Adeloy. A bit harsh, maybe. Woody saying, I'm really pissed off about our transfer activity. That pissed off. I've just booked Colchester away. And Ian again, they're saying we're already looking better after offloading Adeloy, Darcy, Ian Dolo, and Aguiar just needs shade to go now. So clearly, it doesn't matter the size of the squad. We're quite all the fans are happy. If we've got a starting 11, we can just put the youth team on the bench because that 11 is going to be good enough. We don't need squad depth. Let's have a look, if we can, at some of the other protagonists in the division. Jake, let's start with... Oh, actually, before we do, there was a question from Joe. As I've said to you, Jake, I'll let you go first. How will Wrexham do with Mullin out for a couple of months? That's a nasty, nasty injury.
I mean, it depends if they replace him. Because
the rumours are they're going straight into the market.
Yeah, if they start with that Dalby and Palmer, then I think they will struggle. But if they get a replacement, then it'll just be that they won't struggle.
Okay, do you agree, Russ?
I think they need to bring somebody in because, and I can say this from experience, Ollie Palmer is an absolute donkey. He is just, honestly, we signed him for Mansfield. There was a massive fanfare about him. We saw all the goals he'd scored at non-league. It was something really daft. Like, he'd scored all these goals at non-league, brought him into Mansfield. We were like, this is it. This is the striker we've got. And ball control, holding it up. He got the odd couple of goals, but on the whole, he was terrible. He ended up falling out with the supporters, and it became rather sour. He slagged us off a couple of times. But I don't think he's League Two quality. I think his level is National League, and he's good at that level. He's big, he's aggressive. League Two, I just think you need that little bit more skill. The thing is with Wrexham, we all know they've got money. We all know they can spend. They will probably go out and bring someone in of possibly better quality than Mullin. But then you're left with, what do you do when Mullin comes back?
Woody said they're going to sign Austin, aren't they?
Think it'd be
Could you imagine? You think Swindon fans have melted down this summer so far? That'd be scenes. Let's get a couple of questions in from the chat. Jake, I'm coming back to you. Something that was touched on a couple of minutes ago, but let's go a bit more in depth on it specifically. What does Jake think about Barry signing for Stockport? It's been well documented that although a lot of Swindon fans liked him, I was never his biggest fan. So what's your take on that signing?
I mean, I woke up and saw that and I wasn't too pleased. But then he hasn't overly impressed. He's never had... I put it in the WhatsApp group. He's been at so many clubs on loan and no one's ever raved about him and said how good he was. So that's probably slightly his issue. But if Stockport... I don't think Stockport play with wingers. So unless they change formation, I just don't see him working.
Interesting. We've got another one here for you, Liam, as well. How does it feel that Bradford are no longer one of the most hated teams now Wrexham are in the league?
It's magic. I think we are this season feeling how Salford felt last season because Salford were what Crawley became. Like they were the ones that were throwing the money about, and it was we're gonna just buy the league. So that's why I think last season the pressure was kind of off Salford, and you saw them have a really good season. I feel like for us, and I said it last week, we did an episode with some Wrexham fans. I said I want to thank them because Valley Parade is no longer the place where every team wants to go and up their game. They all want to go to the racecourse. They all want to go to Wrexham and up their game, and they want to do it in front of Deadpool, and they want to do it in front of the cameras because they're going to be there every game because they can't help but Mickey Mouse is there holding a
Mickey Mouse is at the Mickey Mouse on the Magic Roundabout on Boxing Day, Liam. What more could you want?
I wouldn't want to be on the Magic Roundabout in any way, shape, or form. I tried to walk it this season. Tried to walk it.
Are we going to see Bradford's mascot and Mickey Mouse going to war at any point this season? Is Billy Bantam preparing something?
Watch this. Without going into it, I am being sent to Wrexham in October by the club. So there's some stuff planned, but I can't say what.
We look forward to seeing that. Let's get back to the point in hand then, and we're talking the other protagonists. Russ, I'll start with you. Two teams that people have been talking about, mainly because of some of the business they've done, Doncaster and Walsall.
Yeah. Great. Walsall. Here we go. Look, this is an entire fan base that's become obsessed with Danny Johnson and Mansfield. Obviously, what happened?
Oh no, they're obsessed with Swindon as well.
They've got their player, and he will get them goals. Don't get me wrong, he will get them goals. But it's just one of them. Will they be anywhere near? I think there's a lot better teams than Walsall. Again, I think they're another team that will pull the trigger fairly quickly on a manager if they're underperforming. So I don't see him getting the opportunity that I think he would at maybe a different club. So, yeah, like I say, I think if Danny Johnson gets injured, being honest, if Danny Johnson gets injured, then I think, like last season when they lost him, they're in trouble. Their form after Johnson left was terrible. It really was. It wasn't great last season. Yeah, granted, they beat us without Johnson, but after that, they went on quite a decent winless run, obviously, made changes. I just feel that in this league this season, if they finish mid-table, they should be happy with that. Okay. I don't think they're touch on the playoffs. Doncaster, another team fairly local to us.
You've done so many transfers. Is it almost the risk going the other way?
Yeah, Grant McCann is a really, really good manager. I personally rate him quite highly. But I don't know if this is the season to build for Donny. Again, like Liam said, if you've got money, chuck it in and go for it. But if you haven't, sit this season out, build slowly, and look at next season when all the fanfare and everything else may have passed. And I think that's what Doncaster will do this season. I think I think Doncaster will probably have a say in the title race. They won't be in there to win it, but I think they will take points off a lot of teams up there. But I can't. Again, it's a team that I think is building more for next season than this one. But Grant McCann, you can never, as a manager, you can't write him off. They've got what they wanted. The fans weren't happy. They were falling out with the ownership. There were meetings. There were protests. He said that he will back the club financially. He's brought in Grant McCann. I think he's done that. I just don't think they've got the money to play with the rest of the league's big boys. So I think maybe next season for them, possibly. But I don't think this season. I think mid-table, just underneath the playoffs for them. Which, considering how they finished last season, is probably good for them. It's an improvement.
Yeah. Speaking of fans who aren't necessarily happy, I just flashed up a comment from Joe saying one of my friends is a Walsall season ticket holder. He's pissed off with the club, rated Flynn, rates Kinsella. Fan base is pissed off. One supporter who I don't believe is necessarily unhappy a week going into the season is our next panelist guest. I'm guessing the game must have finished. Let's see how they got on. Evening, Hannah. Welcome back to Fools.
Hi. I've got brilliant lighting. There's probably brilliant sound. I'm coming to you live from the Co-op car park just off Castle Street in Edgeley. So I make no excuses for whatever might happen in and around.
We fully respect and appreciate the efforts you've gone to get on tonight.
I left the game early. I never, ever do that, ever. I mean, obviously not early enough to be on time, but yeah, left the game early. We lost, by the way.
You lost. I was going to say, how did you get on?
Yeah, we lost. It was Blackburn's. It wasn't fully their academy team, but they're playing Girona tomorrow. So they clearly weren't going to rock up at full strength. And it wasn't a lot of who you would expect to be our kind of strong starting 11 weren't playing. But I thought we did all right. It was a penalty, their goal. So that doesn't count, does it, either?
No, penalties don't count.
No.
They can get in the bin. You haven't missed too much so far, to be fair, Hannah. We were just going through some of the other protagonists that aren't the clubs we support. So if I could throw a couple at you, just off the cuff, what you think to their chances this season. I'm going to go with Newport and Colchester.
Newport, I think after that scoreline last weekend, I would be a little bit concerned if I was a Newport fan. Colchester, I don't really.
Are they just sort of drifting by without doing anything?
Haven't they lost someone decent? Oh no, it's Junior Chamado. He's likely to go off to Stoke, or may well have done in the last couple of days. I think he will be a massive loss for them. And you know, it's always risky when there are teams who are kind of held together by one player or have a particularly strong player. And, you know, I don't for a second think that, you know, his departure makes or breaks their season, but it will have a massive impact. And at this stage in the transfer window as well, decent players moving on can have a massive impact and leave a massive gap. So, yeah, I think that's been the thing for me for Colchester in the transfer window. And Newport, apart from that loss, was it Bristol that they played at the end and lost by a huge amount? Other than that, I don't think they've done much in the transfer window that I've heard of either.
Liam, likes of Harrogate and Barrow, not teams that fans tend to like to talk about too much, but your thoughts on them?
Can I just comment on what Russ said about Doncaster?
Please do.
Because I agree, and
you're not missing enough to know. Just interrupt if you want to say something.
I'm trying to mellow in my old age, though, and be a bit more polite.
Let's not start talking about age again, mate. It's catching up with me.
Yeah, that's I had a moment.
I wish I was Jake's age again.
Yeah,
yes, I do. Yeah, I do.
Oh, it's Jake. Oh, I've missed this. Jake's got his new shirt on.
Yeah.
Nice. I was for me. So Doncaster, and I said this to some Donny fans because they asked kind of like what my thoughts were on their season coming up, and I said last season the standard of the league was here, and Doncaster were here, and what they've done this summer is they've brought themselves here. But then the rest of the guys that were here already have gone here. So they are now where we were last season. You know, I'm going to say Bradford, Stockport, Salford, who were the three that were in the playoffs that didn't go up. Doncaster are now kind of on level with what we were, but we've all, I feel, improved. So we've kind of stepped up above. Then you throw in Wrexham, you throw in Notts County, you throw in, your NK Dons, Gillingham. Yeah, great example. So, yeah.
Well, they're the next team. I can see Greg's actually put here in the chat. I think Gillingham will be top three or may even win the league.
Yeah. On the two you mentioned, I think Harrogate will do Harrogate things and just be there in the bottom 6, 7. They'll always look like they could drop into the relegation, but they never will because that's what they do. And Barrow, I think Barrow could be a dark horse this season. Because again, I mean, they were kind of last season. No one expected them to finish. I think they finished 10th or 11th, but or 9th maybe.
9th, I think. Yeah. Or Mansfield 9th, and they were 10th.
No, Mansfield were 8th.
No, we were 8th.
Just right, so Barrow were 9th then.
Yeah. They've signed, I think, 41 players, which is, Barrow have gone out, and there's another League One player to come. I'm led to believe, like they are building something, and Pete Wild is a good manager. So yeah, I think Barrow could be in with a say in the playoffs. I don't think they'll be top 3, but they could be in with a say.
Okay. What I'd like from each of you, if I can, and then we will start to speak about the clubs that you all know and love so much, is a dark horse at both ends of the league. So maybe someone that's not expected to get promoted that you think could have a say, and someone that's not expected to get relegated who you think might not be quite as good as they or their fan bases think they are. You're looking very confident in this one, Russ, so I'll start with you.
Oh, no, I was just racking my head. So I know I've mentioned MK, but yeah, I know a lot of people will disagree with me because obviously most of the things I've seen is Wrexham, Stockport, and Notts County. So I'm going to say MK as my dark horse because I think they will finish top 3. Okay. Down the bottom end, you've got to look past the obvious ones sometimes, haven't you? And think, who's going to get?
So let's take Crawley out the equation. Let's potentially take Newport out the equation.
Yeah. So I think probably Morecambe. Teams, I'll be honest, and there's a reason for it. And sometimes in League 2, teams get relegated because they play really badly. But 9 times out of 10, I would say, teams get relegated out of this league due to poor ownership and off-the-field issues. All of Crawley's issues at the minute are off the field. Newport's issues is they haven't got enough money to build a sustainable team because it's half owned by a trust. Again, off-the-field issues. So I think Morecambe have obviously got money issues. They're looking for someone to buy. It's fell through. There were rumours of Tyson Fury. So I'm going to go Morecambe, and I wouldn't be surprised if halfway through the season that they're unable to pay people if it's that bad as what people are making out.
Okay, Hannah.
I don't know. I want to say Gillingham, but I don't even feel like they're a dark horse at this stage in terms of.
I think quite a few people are fancying them at the minute.
So they've been picked up. Who else is there? But I do think Barrow will be up there. I again agree with Liam. Pete Wild's kind of background and management start. He's in this. It was a slow burn, and last season was about the kind of the foundations, and they're solid. Other side.
You can say Swindon, it's fine.
Do you know what? Oh, my light's gone off. Hang on.
Oh, you look like Alex Pooley. Alex Pooley's on the podcast.
No, I wouldn't say Swindon. I would have said Morecambe until today when I met a lady who works at Morecambe at a women in football networking thing, and it sounds like they're actually kind of in a much stronger position financially than I certainly was led to believe. And so that's good. I'm not answered your question. I am thinking about it.
You're so positive that you don't want to consider someone to struggle.
Let's go Grimsby.
Grimsby.
Why not?
I would be so happy. I would be delighted. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would be delighted if that was the case.
No, honestly, that's a bit silly, and maybe they should be a dark horse for promotion because their last season was paralysed by their cup run, I think, and they would have. I think they would have been a lot stronger if they weren't kind of exhausted by that. So I'll have Grimsby as my just reverse that.
Just for lols.
Yeah.
Breaking transfer news coming in on Fools Rush In. Hannah has been sacked, according to Ryan.
So it's because I've been concentrating on League One.
Yeah, they've had us doing League One stuff. We'd forgotten who League Two teams are.
It's true. I may have overcompensated.
Let's
tell
go.
you who the dark horses are in League One if you like.
No, I've got no. The only interest I have in League One is the thought of being there this time next year. Jake, let's go to you. Have you got a surprise dark horse at either end of the table?
I think Crew could go down because
Look how happy Liam is.
I don't like their manager. I just don't think he's good enough.
Okay.
He just doesn't fill me with confidence when there's so many more experienced managers and quality coming into the league, and they just don't
Experience doesn't always make people good, though.
Yeah, but it helps them, and they beat us last season, and it was probably one of the worst games, and I just want them to go down for that.
How about at the top end?
They've lost the best player as well of Crew. Haven't they that?
Yeah.
Where he went? When did he go to? Did he go to Orient in the end? He didn't.
Yeah, he went to Orient. But to be fair, I'd like Crew to go down just for charging me £27 for a ticket.
Yeah. Let's see him try and do it in the National League. Let's see him try and charge Wealdstone fans £27.
Yeah.
Any at the other end of the table, Jake?
Probably MK because they've just got so much quality. But are they really a dark horse? Probably not.
I would say that they're in the conversation. They're not being wildly tipped, I would say.
But Graham Alexander, and I think that they were very, and they do this every year. They're very quick off the ball at the beginning of the transfer window and brought quite a few in, and then have settled down, and presumably they're gelling behind the scenes as a new League Two team. But yeah, they're unproven, aren't they? We don't know.
Well, there's so many questions yet. Liam, dark horses for you, both ends of the table?
I'm going to stick with Barrow at the top end because I think, I like Barrow. I don't know why I really like Barrow. Bottom end, I was going to go with Crew, but I'm not going to repeat. I think they've lost the best player. I think that they were horrific last season. I thought they were a terrible side. They just kind of scraped by in a few games. I'm going to go with Sutton.
Okay.
Sutton are a team that build kind of rough, ready, aggressive, ugly football sides, and I feel like that next season is going to make it so hard for them because there are going to be so many good footballing sides that will be able to play around them. They're going to, disciplinary wise, you'll see cards because they'll be diving into tackles because they won't be able to compete with pace. I think Sutton could get dragged into it. Maybe Wimbledon.
Okay. Let's go to your chosen topics of speciality then, and Hannah, I'll start with you. Yeah, indeed. I'll start with you, Hannah. Tell us all about a Stockport going to go one better this year.
I mean, I have to say yes. Like, I love data, as Liam knows. And every year for the last 9 years, we've improved our league position. So the data suggests yes. The investment in the team suggests yes. We look like we're changing formation.
Well, it's interesting you say that because just before you came on, we were talking about the Louis Barry acquisition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he didn't play tonight. Like I say, they played a kind of a hybrid starting 11. But I can see Torre, Horsfall, Noyle across the back, and then like a front. I think it'll be a 4-3-3 to be honest. And Charlie traditionally doesn't play with wingers, but if that's what's going to happen, I think we'll see it tomorrow because they have to kind of run it properly. Obviously Nick Powell just looks phenomenal when he's allowed to get in the game. He didn't against Huddersfield last weekend, which we lost 4-0. It was atrocious, but I think the scoreline flattered them. I don't think we were as bad as it seems, and he really did struggle to get into the game. And then Louis Barry this morning, which was not one that anyone had seen coming. Liam, he does our social media, so it's the first time in 4.5 years that he's managed to actually break the news of a signing without it being like leaked somewhere first. So yeah, it was and he was good for Salford last season. I remember him getting sent off against Walsall at the end of the season, feeling really pleased that he wasn't going to feature in the playoffs, and then it got rescinded. But yeah, I think Charlie said today that he's pleased that Villa are kind of trusting us with the players' development for the next year. It's a season-long loan, so hopefully he'll just add some depth to that kind of forward pack while we wait for Kyle Wootton to come back.
What represents a successful season for Stockport this year?
Automatic promotion.
And how far away are you in terms of the rest of this transfer window? What is there anything else you feel you need?
Well, we'd always said that we want, like everyone kind of universally wanted a striker, and then we have that now in a form in Louis Barry. Where we struggled last season was that kind of first. We didn't start playing until it was mid to end of October. I think we played Salford on something like the 13th of October, and I think automatic promotion is well within our grasp if we start playing in August, which feels like an obvious ask, but it was beyond us last season.
And I think we stopped playing in October, so
I think a lot of that was the transition from National League to League Two. I think it was a bit of a shock for the players and probably the coaching staff alike. But also we had so many new signings over the summer that it was like a new team. There was one game kind of early on where I think 8 of the players hadn't played at the end of the National League campaign. So when we clicked, and I think they were looking at the stats, if the league had have started in January, we would have been top. So it's just getting there earlier. I absolutely prescribe to the I guess belief that it's a much more competitive league this season, and I'm saying that that's the goal, but I don't think it'll be easy. I don't think I'm very much not in the piss the league camp. I am taking nothing for granted, and really do think that we'll have to work at it. Like it, everyone had their fingers burnt last season, and I think it's going to be even worse this year.
Well, speaking of fingers, I'm going to let Liam come in, otherwise he's going to get cramp. He's had his finger up that long.
I hadn't even noticed.
It's leaning on my knee, so it's fine. I can go all night. Just don't tell Liv. It's a question for Hannah about that. So a couple of weeks ago, you guys were linked with Scott Banks, and a lot of your Bradford fans went nuts, but a lot of your fans said, no, it won't be true because we don't play wingers. Like, that's not what we do. Do you think that now you've seen the Barry signing, you think maybe that could, you're not going to buy him. You would try to buy him for 250 grand, but he's valued at over $1 million by Palace. But do you think you could go in for him on loan? And he personally told me no, that he's not coming to League Two. But if there's no League One offers.
All right. Yeah, I think I said to someone earlier, I wonder if this was Charlie's plan all along. And we always had these 2 final friendlies tonight and tomorrow. And it was almost, like I said this morning, it's almost like it was all the plan. And they would, practice playing with wingers in this new formation for these last 2 games before going into the Gillingham game. Charlie said at the beginning of the week that there were 1 to 2 more signings to come, and we've had those now. We signed Jaden Richardson earlier in the week from Aberdeen, so we have had those signings that were promised.
So you get actual factual information, because our assistant manager did a thing on Monday and suggested we were getting 2 players in.
Yes, we do.
Sorry, do continue.
No. So yeah, we've had what we were promised. Whether there's more to come, I mean, we love I love transfer season. There was a Scott Banks rumour, there was the Danny Drinkwater rumour, because he's like local and wants
Phil
to go
Jones.
back to Leicester. Phil Jones, yeah.
I was going to say, Danny Drinkwater's rumoured to be going to Leicester, I believe.
Well, so he would very much like to go to Leicester. Whether Leicester will have it.
Whether Leicester will very happily have him back after.
Yeah.
But if he's not going to Leicester, he's happy to skip 48 other teams and go to Stockport.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. He's local. He won't have to move. He was down at Cheadle Town the other week.
Nobody can convince me that any League Two team needs a Powell Drinkwater midfield.
Oh, it would be pretty.
It's ridiculous. It's got nothing. No, I've got nothing on Kinsella, that's for sure. Jake, let me bring it over and talk to you for a few minutes. You said in the intro you were feeling quietly confident. Could this finally be your year?
I hope, but I do doubt a little bit. But every year you hope. I'd like a cup run, because we never
I'd
get
love
to
a cup run.
Third round.
And
the third round would be a couple of days before my birthday. Like, we lost to Chesterfield.
Oh, you January like me, are you?
Yeah, I'm early January. And we lost to Chesterfield, and we would have got Chelsea away about 2 days before my birthday. But obviously we had to lose. So I just like a cup run. If we get a cup run and playoffs, then I'm happy.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that what resembles a successful season?
Absolutely. I just want a cup run that's not Papa John's.
Cup run that's not the Papa John's. In terms of the transfer window, how do you feel it's gone so far, and what more are you looking for?
Losing Ibitara definitely didn't help, but we've replaced him well. We got Mariappa back, which is a boost. Mm-hmm. We got a Summer Ashley from Colchester, who was quite good when we played them and did really well for them in the second half of the season. I think we've kept Elliot Watt and Luke Bolton. So, and if we can keep them, then we should be fine. But I'd still look for another striker.
Okay. Ian saying Swindon don't do cup runs. We just concentrate on the league. Yes, because that went so well last season when we played the fewest possible amount of fixtures in a domestic campaign. Yes, mate.
Do you know what I just noticed? You've just done me dirty there.
Have I?
Right. So I'm sat now, and you guys can't really see how I'm sat. Flash a comment up.
Oh,
see my knees.
That's not me doing you dirty. That's just StreamYard.
I saw my knees flash up, and I was like, "Oh, if I move them now, it's going to look really suspicious." But I thought, you know what? Dive in first. We'll do it. Me and Hannah are actually going to Salford for a nice day out on Tuesday.
We are.
Where we get to go.
That's not a word. That's not a sentence I normally say.
No, well, do you know what? I'm delighted, and we get to. Basically, we've got all the players available to sort of sit down and interview. So it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it. Like you say, Elliot Watt's the big one for me, because he came from Bradford, and it's I can't wait. I think Salford have done really well this summer, really well, and that's why I said, like, you had the pressure off. You were Crawley, and I think this year again you've got no pressure.
It's actually an interesting one, Jake, that I wanted to ask you about. As a supporter, Liam quite rightly said, you kind of, Salford for a couple of seasons had that sort of, they were tarred with that brush where everyone wanted to go at them because of basically Salford and the class of 92 and everything that surrounded it. Then you kind of got that little bit of a break where everyone's attention was on Crawley, and now everyone's looking at Wrexham. Do you feel that with the shackles, like where all eyes aren't on Salford, you can just go about your business now and look at a promotion campaign?
It was a huge benefit last season because everyone just was like, we're just playing Salford and not, we've got to beat them. So then we were just playing our normal stuff and everyone was just playing their usual game, and we won more games than we usually did. We got our most wins in the Football League last season. So if we can continue that, we just need to continue what we did last season. And hopefully with more added time, we can get more late goals, because that was really fun.
Well, yes, I was going to come on to that actually as the next topic, the new ruling on the.
I think we
on the
played
time
the
added on.
rules tonight. We had like 8 minutes of injuries. I mean, did they come in immediately today? Because
I'm worried. We already had 9 minutes of added time against Gillingham. If that rule came in last season, we'd still be playing now.
8 minutes in a friendly.
It's insane. Well, I mean, to be fair, I think we had a fair amount on Wednesday against Borough, but yeah, I agree with it. I'm going to be honest because it makes sense. You know, for a goal, the sort of standard is every substitution's 30 seconds. For a goal, it's 30 seconds. That's what they're supposed to add on. But you know, if you take into account the goal, the players running off into the corner, them slowly walking back, you know, the fans running on the pitch and knee sliding. That's Russell. Yeah, he knows all about them knee slides.
Or letting pyros off.
Or letting pyros off. And again, same with us. But that thing is, that worked. That was the rule. We delayed the game by 10 minutes. We had 10 minutes of added time. Served our fans right. And honestly, it was a silly thing to do. But I think, you know, if there's a minute and a half from a goal to it kicking off, that's a minute and a half should be added on. It should be. It makes it more exciting, doesn't it? When you see that board coming and you're maybe one behind and you see 9 minutes flashed up and you're like, we've still got this.
Yeah.
It's all to play for. I'm all for it.
If I can sidetrack just for a minute, talking about new rules and things we'd like to see, because I'm very much, I agree with, let's have more added time if time is there to be wasted. I don't know how much, if any, you've watched of the Women's World Cup, but I'm going to throw it out there. I like that the referee is announcing the VAR decisions.
They should do.
Yeah.
And say basically that if you haven't seen it, that if there's penalty decisions and they're looking at the screen, they're like, we have given this penalty because, or we haven't given this penalty because there was an offside in the build-up. I think it's class, and everyone in the crowd can hear it. But Jake, you shook your head. You're not a fan?
No, I've not watched any of the games, but from the clips I've seen, it doesn't actually improve it because you'd still say you'd know that anyway, and then the referees just delay and just then say what it is when
it cuts all doubt though, doesn't it? It gets rid of any doubt. And I went to the PGMOL, which is I don't know what it stands for, but it's to do with referees. I can't tell you what it stands for. But I went to
a match official something
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to an event at Bradford City last month of theirs, and they had there were so many EFL refs there. There was Sonny Gill. I don't know if anyone remembers Jarnail Singh from back in the day.
Yeah.
He was there. He was running it, and they had VAR for you to have a go, and it was to see if you could do it yourself, because everybody says, "Oh, it's a bloody ridiculous decision," and it's so hard. And I sat with one of them, and I made a call, and it was like, "You're wrong." I went, "No, that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm right." And they were like, "No, you're wrong." I was like, "I'm telling you, I'm right." And this voice over my shoulders going, "No, you're definitely wrong." And I turn around and look, and I'm like, all right, okay, Champions League assistant official. It was, I can't remember what his name was, but he'd refereed in the Champions League. Chris Foy was stood there, told him he was wrong as well. But a week later, they changed the offsides in VAR from being the nose and whatever to being the full body. So I think they took that away from me arguing, saying that's bullshit. What's he going to do with his nose? Yeah, funny.
Let's swing back onto topic then. Liam, as you're in talkative mood, let's talk Bradford. Swindon and Bradford had you could probably say that you instigated a fairly friendly rivalry last season. What can we expect from our friends up north this year?
But friendly in my DMs, I'll tell you that much. Hi, Boo.
Definitely doesn't watch us.
He does. Apart from when I'm on, he openly says, "I'm not watching if Turkey Up North's on." But do you know what? Just on him, I'm delighted, by the way, because he tweeted this morning that Flynn won't sign Kinsella because he's not a fan. Absolutely delighted to see it blow up in his face. Incredible. There was a great, kind of friendly rivalry. I don't know if you remember, Fyfie. Do you remember me making the girl cry at the front of the stand as the chicken when I went to handle the ball and threw it away? Oh, do you not remember? Yeah, the disabled girl.
No.
Right, how do you remember this?
Wait, at your place or at ours?
At our
Yours.
place.
Oh, at your place?
Yeah,
Oh,
remember-
I do vaguely recall you
Yeah.
trolling fans, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know, obviously, the full ins and outs until I heard the boo, and I was like, that was loud. That was very loud for a boo. And then when I was walking back round, I saw the court. Like, all I could see was the lower half, and I'm walking towards them, going, why is she wearing headphones? And then it just dawned on me. I was like, oh, no. I'm emailing the club, like, you may get an email tomorrow. But yeah, no, it was a good little rivalry. I enjoyed it. Look, you guys coming up here, you came to my house, which was nice.
Did?
You did. You and Ben came to see my house, and
Sure, we'll do it again this year.
we will. We went to German Doner Kebab, had a lovely afternoon out, and then yeah, we went up. I got really excited when you guys announced your team, and
we didn't. We got very angry when we announced the team.
And that's why I got excited, because the anger on your face. I was skipping down Manningham Lane, so happy, and we drew 1-1.
We did.
It was one of the worst decisions, and I'll stand by it. Ben tells me I'm wrong and says it was a definite handball. We got a written apology from the referee. It was not a handball. He admitted he couldn't see it. Done.
To be fair, if you're gonna drag up ancient history,
Yeah.
Jeff Cott, in one of his few good things he did last season, he did have he was kind enough to not score the penalty and score the rebound instead.
Oh, well, thanks very much, Jeff Cott. Oh, well, what a 3 points for Bradford that was. And then we came to yours, and my favourite thing was obviously standing on the touchline. I didn't realise that's where the Swindon players were warming up, and I'm like interacting with Charlie Austin, and he's like, we're having a bit of a laugh back and forward because I'm copying his warm up, and he's saying things to me, and it is a bit of a laugh, and all that's going through my head is, if you knew who was under this suit after what's gone on Twitter with you, your wife, and myself, you would knock me clean out, sir.
Ultimately, whatever you and Charlie Austin were discussing was irrelevant, because all that needed to be done was just the recorded footage of you missing the penalty against Rockin' Robin.
Yeah, and I noticed that's the one everyone focused on, not the one that I scored, or the fact that his penalties he scored, I wasn't even in goal for. I noticed that wasn't ever brought up. What I will say, I've got better on Wednesday. Middlesbrough fans gave me a standing ovation. I'm just putting they did. And then I did the Ronaldo suing in front of them, and someone tweeted.
Oh, I did see some tweets about Bradford mascots suing.
Wait, let me go home now. Bradford mascots just done Ronaldo celebration. I was like, oh. But it's all right. It's fine. But I'm looking
what can we expect this year? Now that you've brought up last season, what can we expect this year?
I don't think much different. Andy Cook's firing in pre-season. He looks hungry. We tied him down for 3 years, which I was shocked that we gave him a 3-year deal, and that's not any knock on Andy Cook. We just don't tend to offer 3-year deals to players that have been here for 2.5 years already. Yep. He'll be one of our longest serving players come the end of it, and possibly our top goal scorer if he carries on in the form he's in. Andy Cook's firing. We lost Scott Banks. We've brought in a couple of new players that look quite handy. I yanked his tail. Yes, Joe did yank my tail feathers, and then I put the suit on. We look quite good. We signed Clark Odoir, which I found out his name is Odoir. I thought it was Odieu. Everyone calls him Odieu, but it's not. It's Odoir. We signed him from Barnsley. He was on loan at Hartlepool last season. They told us he was absolutely dreadful, but in pre-season he has been phenomenal. Like, he's looked so good, and he's linked up well with the young lad that we've got on loan from Brentford, who is a unit, by the way. He's playing out on the wing. I can't pronounce his name, but I'm not too bothered about not being able to pronounce his name, because I found out that some of the players can't pronounce his name either, so that's fine. Harry Lewis is staying. We nearly lost him. That would have ended for me our season hopes if we'd have lost Harry Lewis, and he's staying. He wants to stay. Russell's gone. He wants to stay, and yeah. Oh, I'm at top now. I like this. I've been promoted. That's a sign of things to come. Look, guys, the 3 up, and the 2 down. This is it. It's an omen. Maybe not Fyfie.
Hang on. If we're doing it that way, let's get Stockport right up the top there.
Yeah. all four of us up here, and you.
There we go. That's probably roughly right.
Look at Russell.
Oh,
He's fuming.
If Russell will be so triggered.
Why are you doing me like that? Unbelievable.
Facts, Russ.
I think we've got a good side. I think that we'll miss out this year, but that's not me saying that we're not good enough. I just think that the league's so strong, and I'm doing what Hannah does. I'm kind of playing it down at this point. I don't want to say we're going to piss the league, because I don't think anyone's going to piss the league this year. I don't think there's going to be a piss the league team.
So again, same question as the others. What represents a successful season for you this year?
Promotion. It has to be.
By any means. So Hannah went automatic. You accepting playoffs?
Yeah. Mark Hughes came in a year and a half ago on a 2.5-year deal, and the aim was at the end of his contract, we've got to be in League One. That's it. This season we've got to go up. Whether it's playoffs, I don't care. If in 12 months' time I'm in League One, I don't care how we got there. I don't care if we finish 8th and every team above us gets disqualified, so we get automatically put up. I don't care. Promotion is the definite, has to be done.
And you've mentioned some of the players that have already looked good in pre-season. What else do you think you need to really sort of cement that position in the promotion race?
I still feel like we've not really replaced Banks. We've got a lot of our play at the minute is going through Jamie Walker, which it kind of did last season, but he does pick up an injury every now and again, and I don't want to. If he's out injured, we need to have something we can fall back on. And last year we adapted to sort of play more wing play, and you brought Banks in, and we still need that starlet from the Premier League loan market, which might be Banks. We said last year, Dion Pereira, he came back. Maybe Banks will do the same. Banks loved it at Bradford, so maybe we'll see.
Okay, let's move over to Russ then. Now that his connection's back, what are we expecting from Mansfield this year?
Well, someone's got to make a prediction, haven't they? Everyone's kind of like sat on the fence and gone top 3. That's us, top 3.
Wow, that's bold. What gives you the confidence to say that that's the
highest goal scorers in the league last season? However, we gave away goals like candy.
Well, even Swindon got 5 against you at one point.
Yeah, exactly. If you come to Field Mill last season, you were guaranteed a goal. I can't remember when we kept the clean sheet. Our home form was abysmal. In fact, I think I might be slightly wrong, and someone will tell me if I'm wrong, and that's fine. But I think by the end of October or November, we only won twice at home after that. I think we only won 8 games at home last season. So if you'd have brought a half-season ticket, you'd have seen 2 wins. And that's pretty much it. However, we've strengthened where we needed to strengthen. Defence was a massive problem for us last season, definitely. Bailey Cargill looks a fairly solid signing. Again, a couple of injuries last season, didn't play much. But I've noticed a lot of signings teams are making, they're not players that are playing really regular. A lot of them have had injuries or niggles. I've noticed that more this season than any other, that like a lot of teams are like risking it. But I do genuinely think Bailey Cargill looks a solid addition. Callum McDonald, who I didn't really know much about, hasn't played much football. Literally, when you put these players on like Wikipedia and stuff like that and you have a look, there's not a great deal about him. Pre-season, he's looked good. Is he better than Maka? Probably not. But it's good competition for Maka when he comes back from his injury. And then you've got the inclusion of George Williams is a weird signing. I can't work out that one because where he plays, we don't play that style of football. So I'm genuinely not quite sure on that one. For me, I'm just a bit like, I don't know where he fits. Maybe it's centre back if somebody gets injured. I don't think he'll start week in, week out. Obviously, Christy Pym's signed for 2 years. That's kind of signing. Our fan base are kind of split. I was kind of like, I personally would like to know how much we pay him a week, because if it's an extortionate amount, I think there's better goalkeepers out there for cheaper. If it's fairly cheap, then I'm happy with it. He's not going to be the best goalkeeper in the league, and I don't think he will be, and I will argue with everyone about that. But however, the fans that are saying Flinders should be in goal over Pim, again, don't agree with that either, because he dropped some right clangers last year as well. I think that's probably, for me, that's our weakest area now, is goalkeeping.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've made some good signings. Louis Reed obviously come back from injury, and it's one obviously your fans know all about.
Yep.
And can I just say, pre-season, he has looked fit, he has looked hungry, and he has looked good. So I'm really, really happy to see that. Reece Oates has come back from injury, fit, hungry, and has looked good pre-season. And I just think he will be up there this season. I'm hoping it's the Reece Oates from 2 seasons ago, not last season. And then I think finally, I'm going to give him a special shout out. Aaron Lewis from Newport. My God, his touch, his passing, his crossing. It is amazing, honestly. The guy is just, he gets that ball. Some of the crosses he put in, genuinely, if we had someone that could head a ball, would be amazing. But yeah, so I think we've strengthened where we need to strengthen. Again, I think goalkeeping's a poor issue for us. Liam's going to argue with me about it now. I can see him with his flashing little light on, his finger up in the air. But I genuinely, I just think maybe this is the year for Mansfield. Maybe this is the year that everybody forgets about us, and maybe we just sneak up there. I don't think we're finished first or second. I think third's probably doable.
Well, before I come back with the other 2 questions, I'm going to go over to the White Isle, as it were, and live from my beefer, Liam seems to have a question.
No, my reason for not thinking Mansfield will do it is based on their own logic, which is last season Mansfield said, all the fans said the reason they didn't get where they needed to go was injuries, was they had an injury crisis. That's fair, Russell? That's what everyone said?
Yeah. Some people leave behind an injury crisis. Personally, I think he didn't bring enough players in.
Yeah. But for me, if you've got an injury crisis, or you've got teams that have, or your teams are filled with players that are quite injury prone, which they were, you've got to bring in players that aren't. And I've taken out Swan, because Swan was there last year, and he can't really be counted as a new because he was in that team. So for me, it kind of adds to it. And I'm not looking at Pim because he's a goalkeeper, but the other 4, so Lewis, Cargill, McDonald and Williams, have never ever played a full season of football. And that's where I sort of looked at and went, do you know what? If you're complaining about injuries and not being able to fulfill a full season, you don't bring in players that have proven that they can't do it. I'm not saying that they won't, but that's why I look at it and go, you've kind of gone against what you thought was the problem and just added to that problem, maybe.
Yeah, and I think there's some logic to that, but I just think, like I said at the start, I think a lot of teams have gone down the same route. A lot of teams have signed players that haven't played a lot of games last season. So I don't think we're the only ones, but I think if we can keep it fit, for me, what worries me is training. I think it's a training issue. Again, we did pre-season and we had 2 knocks straight away. I think the thing is, regardless of whether we finish third or not, I think the pressure's on Nigel Clough from day one, because we've got record season ticket sales this year, 5,000. And yeah, some teams will go, that's not a lot. That's our record. That's amazing for us. It really is fantastic. But that comes with pressure. You've got the owners that are now back in town because David Sharp's left to look after his family business. So Caroline's took up that mantle as CEO. So she's back. She's watching regular. And I just think we've got, like we said, the first 2 games on paper are relatively, I think, okay. The next ones is your hardness. You know, you've got Wrexham, you've got Stockport, you've got Grimsby a couple of times as well. These are hard games, and so early in a season can be season defining.
Yeah.
And I just think if we're not competitive, I think a lot of people might just start pulling the trigger. I mean, Nigel was getting booed after a 1-1 draw with Stockport. So I just think there's a lot of pressure on Mansfield. I don't think there's pressure from other teams. I don't think there's pressure from pundits this year, because, as you said, I don't think we're in that conversation to get promoted this year, which is nice. But I just think from our own fan base and from the owners and the people above, they think this year is the year that we're going to go for it. I like the fact we've not thrown a massive amount of money around. I'm happy with that, because, again, when you've got the likes of Stockport paying probably decent wages, you're going to have Wrexham, which at some point Wrexham are going to throw a load of money on certain players. Notts County and McGoldrick's not going to be cheap, is he? So I think there's a lot of teams out there throwing money around, and if teams aren't careful, Stockport's got a decent fan base and can sustain it. Gillingham, I'm not overly sure about. When does that American bubble end? Because I went to Gillingham last season. I've had a look. I don't think they've got a massive fan base. I don't think they've got a massive core to sustain what they're throwing out at the minute. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a massive squad, and they ain't paying them like little wages. Ollie Hawkins, George Lapsley, that left us and went to them, they're on good money that Mansfield can't compete with. So I think it's good that we've done us business early. We've strengthened where we needed to strengthen. We've had a decent pre-season. I just feel that, it's hard to back it up, because I can't sit here with stats. I can't say this is, like Hannah said, Stockport's improved year on year. I can't say anything like that. Mm-hmm. I just, when you get that gut feeling where you just think this could be it.
So what represents a successful season for you?
Promotion. For me, it's shit or bust.
Wow. Again, big call there. Because realistically, I'm sat here with 4 opposition fans who, in one way or another, are all saying promotion.
Oh, we've lost him.
He's gone.
We've lost him, folks.
Gone on his own podcast.
He's gone. Right, I'll just say, while he comes back, on what you said there, Russ, I think your issue at Mansfield is that Clough thinks he's bigger than the club. And I think he's got twice his dad's ego and 10% of his dad's talent.
See, I really appreciate what Nigel's done for Mansfield. I'm not, like I say, I'm not biting, but I appreciate what Nigel's done for Mansfield. He's brought the fan base back. We're popular. Get off my Chinese now. Sorry. Yeah, get gone. I just think that all this, before we had Nigel, we were struggling to get by. We had 2,500 maybe watching Mansfield, and it is poor when you've got a three-stand stadium and hardly anyone in it to watch. Yeah. Nigel's brought all them back to us. I don't know. Like I say, home form last season was absolutely terrible. Away days was where it was at. Yeah. Knee slides at Stockport, knee slides at Bradford, getting battered at Salford on first day of season. We were just poor at home last season. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm going with my heart and saying third. I don't know. My biggest question is, I don't know if Nigel's going to see the season out.
I don't. Fyfie, honestly, it was like clockwork. You weren't here, and we just battled on.
Well, I was going to say, I'm presuming with the amount of podcast hosts, you saw something had happened and you just all took over.
Yeah.
We've done all
Fyfie, you go. You go. You don't need to be here, Fyfie. We've got this. This is a promotion talk, pal. This is a promotion talk.
I purely blame you lot for this, because I kid you not, my computer's just reset itself and said it was caused. It restarted because of thermal issues. So there's clearly too much hot air from all these promotion candidates that my laptop just couldn't take it. Mate, I was panicking. You should have seen me, because suddenly my whole room went dark, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Where do we go next?
It's going to be an interesting season. The top 4 teams that go up will deserve it, and will probably do well at League One. I think Unfortunately, Sky don't really give a toss about League Two until next year when they start showing an interest. Sadly, this is going to be the year where I think people will sit up and look at League Two and go, hang on a minute, I can't go and watch Liverpool because I'm however many miles away, but I've got Barrow up the road, and it seems to be doing really well, so I'll go. I mean, attendances was up last season on EFL games. I think people are starting to get the fact that just because you lower down a league, it doesn't mean that the football's worse. In fact, you're more of a community.
I think as well that there will be a knock-on benefit to the EFL League Two because of the Wrexham effect and that whole that spotlight. Yes, it will shine predominantly on Wrexham, but there will be kind of deferred benefits probably to the rest of the league, just in terms of the amount of coverage and interest that there will be.
We're gonna get Swindon Wrexham. Is it Boxing Day?
Yeah.
We're gonna get Wrexham on TV on Boxing Day. Swindon Wrexham's
We
going to
play
TV
Wrexham
again.
in an international break.
We've got Wrexham Good Friday at Wrexham.
Yeah, and Salford play them on an international break. That is going to be.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Wrexham Salford was destined for TV anyway.
Yeah. Ours is the end of October. I don't know. To be fair, without as a brag, you'd think that would be a game that they'd put on because it's at ours. It's going to be 20-odd thousand. You'd think that if the owners are flying over for games this season, away games, it's going to be one of the ones they want to go to because it's like they've not played over the obviously cup games they have, but in league and on a Saturday afternoon they've not seen that. So it's
don't get me wrong. I fully don't expect Ryan Reynolds to be at the County Ground on Boxing Day.
No, maybe not.
Here's the question though. If we go back to referees and we're talking about referees, right? The standard of refereeing at League Two is poor. It's poor at best, right? So are they now going to be influenced by Ryan Reynolds' tweets or the Wrexham fans? Because the National League stood up and took notice last season. And a lot of these referees do get influenced quite easily.
Well, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how that changes. I have a couple of questions left for you all this evening. But just before I ask them, Jake, I'm not so sure about you, so I'll ask you first. We obviously let Liam have a little bit of spiel about lower league look and the real EFL. Are you actively involved with any media output or content creation for Salford at all? Or do you just wait to be guest appeared on things like this?
Yeah, I just waited to be guest appeared because I did the pre-season preview that Gab Sutton did.
Yeah. Ooh, nice. Go on then, Hannah. Liam said his little bit, but what have you got going on? Is it mainly just the real EFL, or you got some other stuff for us to keep an eye out for?
Just the real EFL and the podcast. I've not been doing much writing recently. Ryan will be upset, or relieved, could be either. But no, just the podcast. I'm sure Liam said, but we're splitting it into League One and League Two. So from Monday, it's just League Two, which I'm sure is a relief to everyone involved, both listeners and us, quite honestly.
Trying to blag League One conversations is really hard. Who do you think's going down in League One? Never know who's in it.
But we've got some interviews coming up with managers and other people involved in football, so they're exciting to be involved in, and lots coming up for the year.
Nice. Well, we'll be sure to share as much as we can, because much to the dismay of some people who think that all FRI do is go for clickbait and sensationalized headlines and hate everybody, we do actually try to have a friendly relationship with all other podcasts, including Amber and Blue. Russ, give the pod a little shout out. Presume you're back for the new season.
Yeah, we're the baby of the group, to be fair. Obviously, thanks to Liam and Grant from Lower League Look for getting me on every week and giving me the confidence to start it up. But yeah, we do it every Wednesday at 7:00. We bring Mansfield fans on. We have a chat. We have some disagreements. Have some good chat. And then we tend to get an away fan on, don't we, Hannah and Liam? And then they come on, they talk about the team, and we make them sing their favourite chant before they go off. which everybody loves. It's become a big feature, to be fair.
I just
So
sang
hopefully this is our first full season. Hopefully it'll grow and get nice and big.
Just out of interest, if you've already done a chant as a guest, do you have to do another one if you come back?
Yeah, you have to do a different one.
All right. I'll, maybe Claire will be on.
Well, Barry there saying really enjoyed the Behind the Mascot pod with Hannah and Liam. It was good listen.
Yeah.
A couple of questions to conclude then, and don't worry, Russ, I know you're not one for predictions, so I'm not going to ask you to make any sort of league title winner predictions, etc., especially when all four of you have said you're going to get promoted. So just a kind of quick round robin, two-parter, if I can. In the interest of promoting stuff and trying to educate as well and inform as well as discuss and debate, what I'd like from everyone is there a young starlet at your clubs that people should be looking out for? They might not play every week, but is there someone we should keep an eye out for over the next year or two? And then also, the only kind of prediction I'm going to ask for, Russ, is in an age where League Two seems to have all of these massive reputation strikers, who's winning the Golden Boot is the question. So, Jake, first to you. Is there a young star that we should be looking out for?
Liam saw him play, and he messaged me at half-time saying that Kelly and mine was really good. And he had trials at United towards the end of the season. And in pre-season, he's looked good. So hopefully, because he played the season before last under Bowyer and then didn't feature much at all last season. So I don't really know why, but this season.
Was he the winger?
Yeah, he was the winger.
Yeah, he was a very good player.
And your shout for the Golden Boot this year in the league of top strikers?
Andy Cook.
I want to hear Russ say it. I want to hear those words come out of your dirty little mouth, Russell. I want to hear you say it.
Let's come to you. Is there any young starlets at Mansfield we should be looking out for this year?
So we've got James Gale, who's a young lad up front, who, when we had his injury crisis, we brought in, scored his first ever goal against Newport at Newport, and scored on the last day of the season. Hopefully he carries that confidence over. We do have a young lad, Mikhail Abdullah. He is, honestly, he's going to be the next best thing. He looks incredible. He's only a young lad, so he's with a young team at the minute, but he's been training with the first team. I think if we get injuries, we may bring him on. EFL, Papa John's, whatever it's called this season, might be a good run out for him. So I think they're the two to watch for Mansfield.
And who's winning the Golden Espadrille?
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready, Liam?
He's not
McGoldrick.
Shite bag.
Hannah, yourself? Any young players up at football?
Young Fyfie.
Let's go with 21 and under. The textbook under 21 squad.
Okay. I will. Oh, we've got lovely little Cody Johnson, who's been exiled to Rochdale. But he's one who's come through Counties Academy, and I think playing regular first team football at Rochdale would be really good for him. We had this last season. Ethan Pye went off to Gates. Oh, put some money in the meter. Ethan Pye went off to Gateshead and came back and is a much better player for it. And so I think it'll be the making of Cody Johnson. Golden Boots player. It's Andy Cook.
Another shout for Andy Cook. You noticed I'm not getting right in there expecting Charlie Austin's name to be said. Liam?
Right, so I'm going to put a prediction out here now, and this is going to sound wild, but I promise you're all going to go, in 7 years' time, we're going to be sat here, all still in League Two.
All still in League Two, yeah.
I will be.
Yeah, but this is going to be, it's going to be our year.
Back down.
Yeah, no, you haven't, Hannah. You've gone down and back up. It's going to be all our years again, right? So we have a young lad who has been through all our academy, Bobby Poynton, who has been incredible at academy level, and he was loaned out a few times last season, but we've always known that he's genuinely shit hot. He's played pre-season for us, and every Bradford fan that's watched him has gone, why on earth is this lad not playing for the first team? He's only, I think he's 17 or 18 years old. 7 years' time, he is going to lift the World Cup with England. There is my prediction.
There we go. Wow, that of all the big shouts tonight, that is massive. Absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Yes, mate.
Just 1 minute, because I am getting evils at the minute. So we have a young goalkeeper by the name of Owen Mason, who is currently on loan at Wexford and is performing well and has had a call up to the Ireland under-19s, pushing to get in the Ireland under-21s as well. He's a cracking goalkeeper. He's big, he's tall, he's commanding, and he's my son's favourite player. So if I didn't mention him, he's only 19. I'm getting evils at the door. So
just to clarify for all the Swindon fans watching, just because he's big and tall and impressive doesn't mean that our 5'5" goalkeeper that we've got on loan isn't going to be.
We've got Christy Kim. I feel your pain.
Last question.
Sorry, do you want my top
yeah,
scorer?
sorry, you're yeah. Let's try and keep it not your club.
Okay, Tyrese Shade.
Fuck right off. This isn't an April Fool's episode.
Right. No, if he can stay fit, and I feel like now he's kind of had a season and he's gonna be able to push on. I expect Madden to do really well this season, and I think that he could. But
look at Hannah.
I think he could.
No, genuinely, it's not something I'm happy about. But having watched him tonight, no.
To be fair, he lives offside.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they've adapted the offside rule, haven't they? So maybe it'll benefit him. But no, I think someone like a Madden. Do you know what? Austin probably will do well this season. Will he be top scorer? Probably not. Will he score a lot of goals in comparison to last season? Yes. And yeah, look, it's easy. I know you're saying keep it away from your own club, but I can't. I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, it's got to be Andy Cook. It has to be.
My final question for you all, and I appreciate this isn't necessarily going to be your speciality subject, with the exception of Liam. But for the benefit of those who've stuck with us for an hour and a half, I have to ask you your thoughts on Swindon this year. It wouldn't be a Swindon podcast without discussing us. Jake, do you think we can improve on what was? Well, let's be friendly. It was mediocre at best. Hashtag mid for us last season.
At the minute, you haven't got any players. So once you get some players, you should be all right. I don't think you'll be in a relegation battle.
Our transfer policy is very good. 3 out, 1 in. So looking strong. Hannah, are you? You're of course. We've had this conversation already, haven't we? Swindon away for you is your birthday weekend.
Yeah, it's my birthday weekend, and then I've got Bolton at home on my actual birthday.
In the Pizza Pot Trophy.
Yeah. I don't think it's. I mean, I know there's issues off the pitch.
Is there? We keep getting told everything's rosy.
It's all fine. I'm always someone who, and I think this is a sentiment that's been adopted by the Swindon fan base. I hope kind of plan for the worst, and then whatever happens, you'll be surprised. So the way that thinking about really, do you think it's gonna?
If I'm being honest, I don't think there's any Swindon fan realistically. We'll talk about it because of what's happened so far, but I don't think there's anyone who thinks we're genuinely deep-rooted in a relegation battle at this stage. No.
Right, and this is, it was the same last season. I remember when we were like 21st or someone saying to me, you won't get relegated because there are teams in the league far worse than you. And I think that probably still rings true and rings true for Swindon going into this season.
My only slight issue there is if the only thing we could be positive about is there are worse teams than Swindon.
Hey, it's Spotlight.
I mean, I don't know how much you pay attention, particularly to what I tweet from the Fools account, but have you not seen the infamous roadmap that says unequivocally we get promoted this season?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Mark's agreeing with you, actually, Hannah. Whatever happens, it won't be worse than Crawley or Morecambe. There was another one. Oh, yeah, Ian, on the previous topic. Who's your emerging talent, Swindon? I would have said Dworzak, but we've shipped him out on loan to non-league football. So of the 7 players that remain in the squad, emerging talent, we got this striker named Charlie. Yeah, he looks like he might be decent. We got a midfielder who's had some international experience named George. He looks like he might have something about him. But genuinely, Dworzak was the player I said to Gabe Sutton is our emerging talent. If it's players that are in the squad, I'm not sure how old he is. I hope he still fills in the bracket. Clayton's the obvious answer, but I would say Lavigne. If he's still in the bracket that I set of 21 and under, I actually think he's a better player than Hutton. So if he gets the chance, then I think Lavigne would be our youngster.
Does that not show how threadbare your club is? Because
Charlie Austin's our emerging talent.
No, like we all named players that no one's heard of yet, whereas your choices were kind of between players that have been featuring.
Oh no! So I'm being slightly. So Dworzak is the big young prospect coming through. I think he's going to be quality. We've got another player, Carnu, who had a couple of sub appearances last year, and he scores a lot of goals in the youth team. He will be a good player to watch. I'm being slightly not sarcastic, but slightly anti the establishment because we still can't even name a matchday squad at the moment. So you're going to see plenty of our young players on the bench as it stands. Liam's tip, last season's player. Yes, we've commented on this, Mark. Last year's player of the season went well. Who's his STFC prediction for this season?
I don't think I ever said he'd be last season's. I just said he'd be a player of the season. I meant this year. It's your fault you shipped him out. He's going to go do it at Crawley. They're going to finish 15th.
As you're talking, Liam, let's carry on the conversation. What are you expecting from Swindon this year? Does it depend what happens in the next 6 weeks?
Well, yeah, it does. It really does, because it's all right saying that you've got a squad that's capable of kind of, if you start this first 11, it's going to be all right. But you're 1 or 2 injuries away from being dragged into
I was having this exact same conversation earlier. I said it's not as if in that squad of 18, of which only, I believe, 15 are currently fit, we don't have players with bad injury records or walking red cards.
Or older players that are winding down. Charlie Austin's at the latter end of his career. He's in his twilight years at Swindon. He's come to Swindon to wind down, let's be fair. He has. He's not come to... He could have played at a higher level if he'd wanted to compete. He didn't. But for me, I think kind of looking at what you guys are doing, and the second half of last season, and yes, it was Jody Morris, and like I look, Mark's saying that I pointed out Darcy would be player of the season. I also pointed out Jody Morris wasn't the answer. Jody Morris finished with the second worst points per game as a manager in the league, ahead of only Paul Hartley in his 9 or 10 games at Hartlepool. And you've pretty much got that core squad still together. And that's why I think if you'd have had Jody Morris for the full season, you would have been in the relegation fight. Like, without a doubt, you've got that core squad still together. Can they do better? Maybe, but they haven't shown that yet. So you've got to look at things as they are. I hope they do, because look, as much as I like to rag on Swindon, it's because it's funny. Let's be honest, it's hilarious.
It's a non-stop Mardi Gras, mate.
It is, but it's weird because the fans that last season were in my DMs going on at me for doing it are in my DMs now going, do it again. Like, you're right. And it's a new breed of fans that are now coming at me. But I love
the problem we've got is that even I'm getting messages saying you're turning into the Bradford fan.
Yeah, what a compliment that is.
Oh, I've never been so happy.
Honestly. But
got described as Soccer AM the other day.
Yeah, that's not a bad. That's not. Wait. What do they mean? Is it like? Late
Well, I
90s, early
presumed
2000s
if
soccer
we're
again?
getting called it, we're the Andy Goldstein era.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's not so great.
No.
But you've got to make some signings. You've got and you can't just rely on the loan market, because even Ben, who's the most optimistic of Swindon fans, pointed out immediately with Dan Kemp. Dan Kemp has a good first half of the season. He's gone. My worry with Kemp for you guys is, yes, MK fans said he wasn't good enough at a League One level, but they're at a League Two level now, and he's still not good enough to get in their team, and they're looking to challenge. So if he's not good enough for them, and he's their player, and they're happy to send him to a player, they're happy to send him to a team that they're going to be competing with, that shows, maybe he shined in a really bad Hartlepool team, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right now, look, someone said mid's the aim, or mid's the new ambition. I think right now with your squad, mid would be a phenomenal season for you.
The squad that we have right now, I would snap your hand off for 14th, 15th.
Yeah, I think right now with 18 players and only 15 fit, and out of that 15, a lot of injury-prone players, anything above the bottom two is you'd take. I think at that stage you'd be like, do you know what? Let's just be safe and let's build on for whatever we need to do. You need to start asking questions of your owners, and I can say it because I'm not a Swindon fan, so I don't have to worry.
If I ask questions, I get accused of being negative.
Well, I'll say it then. If he was Lee Power and he was doing the exact same things, you'd all be going insane. But because he's not Lee Power and he's not dragged you down to those depths, and because you've bought your own ground, because some fan left the money to do it, that's not connected. Ask questions, guys. Ask them.
I know. Russ, what are you expecting from the town this year? Can we expect to share? What was it? 14 goals over 2 games between us.
Yeah. Do you know what? Genuinely, I've been looking forward to this question because on the lower league,
2-0 incoming.
I think on the lower league look, when you put out your season ticket prices and your owner says, well, if you buy, even though your season tickets increase, this was last season, even though your season tickets increase, you own part of the ground. And I remember arguing with a couple of Swindon fans on lower league look, like on the 606, saying, what part of the ground do you own? Is it a brick? Is it a tap? Have you got something wrote? What happens if you don't renew your season ticket? Do you lose that piece of the ground? Nobody could answer, and it just seemed really, really shady. Mm-hmm. I think going back to Swindon last season, and apart from Salford tearing us apart at home, you were the only other team to do it. And I walked away from that game after watching Johnny Williams tear us apart, after Roman Darcy's amazing goal. I quite like Roman Darcy just for that one thing. And it was a cracking goal. We were outplayed. You were probably the best footballing side I saw last season at Field Mill, you and Salford. And I walked away and I thought, you're contenders. The thing is, and this is going to upset some Swindon fans, and I know it will, your problem's Charlie Austin. The guy's an arsehole. And that's top and bottom on it. What you did is you went for broke and brought in a big-name striker going, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And do you know what he's delivered? He's delivered marital problems on Twitter. His missus is ain't a pop. Obviously, Austin and Morris have fell out. His missus has then plastered it all over Twitter and alluded to it. Swindon fans have gone with Charlie Austin because he's a big Premier League star. He's not, though, is he? He's not. And this is the thing. You're paying this guy so much money, but what for? You'd be better off cutting your losses, getting rid of him, and bringing in probably, do you know what? Genuinely, I'll throw it out there. You'd have been better off bringing in someone like Danny Johnson than keeping Charlie Austin, because I will have a bet with any Swindon fan that wants to take it. I'll put 20 quid on it here and now that Danny Johnson will score more goals than Charlie Austin this season. Any Swindon fan wants to take that DM me, I'm happy to do it. He's your problem. He is your problem. You have no money because you will be paying an ex-Premier League striker a stupid amount of money to do what? He played against us at your place when we beat you. He went off just after half-time. The Mansfield fans didn't realise he was playing. He walked off like a sulky child. He is not a player you want at your club, especially when you've got his missus on Twitter going, oh, it's because of this, oh, it's because of that. Not being funny, remain professional. That's your problem. Honestly, I'll go ahead and say it. You can moan about your owner as much as you want and money and stuff like this. But at the end of the day, when half your money and half your wage budget is going into Charlie Austin, you're going to have problems. That's it. That's it. Mic drop.
Yes.
Wow.
I thought he was done halfway. He just took a breath.
That's up there with your lower league look drunken rant, which was one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Because it was the worst 3 hours of my life to manage when Leyton Orient's owner joined and Russell went, Marshall, can I ask you a question? I was like, oh, for God's sake, what's going on here? And he sat on a wall in Mansfield somewhere. I was so stressed with Russell.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for your kind comments and really boosting up the belief in HMS PTL. But again, you've all clearly missed the roadmap that says that we get promoted this year. So you're all wrong. Very, very quick one to round off the episode. And thank you all very much for your time this evening. It's been an absolute dream. I'm just having a quick look down the list here. Hannah, you're first up. Gillingham at home opening day.
Yeah.
We last season should have played Gillingham just before Christmas, and it was postponed, and so we ended up playing them in March and April after their kind of the Garnsons had come in and everything had changed. The only thing that I'm clinging to is that, again, lots of transfer movement. They're not quite gelled yet as a team. The other thing is that they've got a shocking away from home record last season, and hoping that kind of just continues into this one. Not my dream opener.
Liam, you're next on the list on the Google search. Crawley away.
Should be 5-0. We'll lose 1-0. No, we'll lose 1-0. We won't lose 1-0. We'll lose 1-0. Should be 5-0. But it'd be just so typical of Crawley to turn us over on that first game. But any team looking at Crawley right now should be looking to put 4 or 5 past them. That's where you make your goal difference up. Crawley this season, 2 games to get a +10 in your goals, in my opinion.
Okay. Jake, Salford are away at Forest Green.
Yeah, they played their first game with their new manager, I think, today. So I don't know how much time they've had to, because in his interview he said he wants to change the whole style of play there, and then obviously they brought in Matty Taylor, who I'm unsure on. So hopefully, if they haven't fully gelled, we should just catch them out on a poor day and win by a couple of goals.
And Russ, as for you, is it Crew? Do I see Crew away?
Yeah, we've got Crew away. 2-0 to us, a rare clean sheet, and knee slides all round.
Again, thank you all very much for your time this evening. I wish you all fantastic seasons. We are just a week away. For those wondering where dear friend of Fools, Sai, is, he's coming up on Monday on his own. Obviously, Colchester fan Sai to help preview the weekend game. So he'll be here on Monday. I'd like to wish you all enjoyable seasons. Enjoy looking up and seeing Swindon dominating in number 1 from game week 1 to game week 46. But I wish you all the very best of luck in terms of finishing 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Is that dominating in the disciplinary table again? Is that what it is? It's yellow cards table.
HMS PTL.
Yeah, post-traumatic losers.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been a dream. Thank you for helping me through the technical issues as well. And we look forward to welcoming all of you back over the course of the season. Liam, we'll see you next week. And Fools will be back on Monday night, as I say, with Sai to preview Colchester. And then the panel get to make our pre-season predictions. Who's going up? Who's going down? And where exactly do we really think Swindon are going to finish? But from me and from everyone on tonight's panel, thank you very much for watching and joining in the conversation. We will see you on Monday. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love.